The U.S. horizon gleamed under the massive launch dome, a testament to human engineering and ambition. Massive quantum drives hummed beneath its sleek titanium hull, promising something no human spacecraft had ever achieved before: breaking through the galactic barrier. Captain J. Park stood motionless, watching the final preparations. His dark eyes scanned the bridge crew, each member selected not just for their technical expertise, but for their psychological resilience. Breaking through unknown spatial barriers required more than just scientific knowledge. It demanded nerves of steel. Dr. Hannah Kim, the lead physicist, ran her fingers across holographic displays showing complex quantum calculations. Years of research had culminated in this moment. Her team had discovered a theoretical quantum resonance technique that could potentially punch through the mysterious spatial boundary that had limited human exploration for centuries. The ship's design was revolutionary. Unlike traditional spacecraft that relied on conventional propulsion, the Horizon used an experimental quantum drive that could theoretically manipulate space-time itself. Multiple international space agencies had contributed to its development, pooling resources, and cutting-edge research. "Final systems check complete," announced Won Lee, the first officer, his voice steady and professional. Behind him, technical crews moved with precision, connecting last-minute diagnostic equipment and running final verification protocols. The launch chamber buzzed with anticipation. Hundreds of scientists and engineers watched through reinforced glass, their collective breath held in silent hope. This wasn't just another mission. This was humanity's next great leap into the unknown. Captain Park reviewed the mission parameters one last time. Their objective was simple yet audacious: breach the galactic barrier, collect data, and return. No human vessel had ever successfully traversed this mysterious spatial boundary that seemed to mark the edge of known astronomical understanding. Dr. Kim approached the captain, her tablet displaying complex quantum frequency graphs. "We've calculated multiple potential resonance points," she explained. "The quantum drive should create a temporary spatial fold that allows us to slip through the barrier's molecular resistance." Park nodded, understanding the scientific complexity, but focusing on the mission's practical aspects. Their crew of 12 represented the best humanity could offer: experts in quantum physics, astrobiology, advanced engineering, and interstellar communication. The ship's interior was a marvel of technological integration. Adaptive neural interfaces allowed crew members to communicate and control systems almost telepathically. Advanced life support systems could sustain them for years if necessary, with regenerative technologies that could repair minor biological damages. Outside, massive electromagnetic stabilizers prepared to generate the immense energy required for the quantum jump. Technicians in sleek white suits made final adjustments, their movements synchronized and precise. 30 minutes to launch," announced the mission control director. The tension in the launch chamber was palpable. Careers, hopes, and humanity's collective dream of exploring beyond known boundaries rested on this single mission. Captain Park walked through the ship one final time, checking each section personally. The medical bay with its advanced healing pods, the research laboratories filled with cutting-edge equipment, the quantum navigation center where complex algorithms would guide their journey. Everything was perfect. Dr. Kim ran her final quantum sequence calculations. The mathematical model suggested a 78.6% chance of successful barrier penetration. While not guaranteed, it was the highest probability humans had ever achieved. The crew assembled in the central briefing room. Park looked at each of them: scientists, engineers, pilots, and medical experts. They represented humanity's best hope for understanding the vast, mysterious universe that stretched beyond their current comprehension. "We're not just exploring space," Park told them, his voice calm and inspiring. "We're expanding human knowledge. Whatever we encounter, we face it together." Massive energy generators began charging. The quantum drives hummed with increasing intensity, creating a low vibration that could be felt through the ship's metal framework. Sophisticated cooling systems engage, preventing potential molecular instability. Mission Control began final countdown. Each system was checked and double-checked. The fate of the mission balanced on a knife's edge of technological precision and human determination. 10, 9, 8. The computerized voice began. Dr. Kim gripped her console. One lead double-checked navigation systems. The other crew members took their positions, a perfect blend of scientific expertise and calm professionalism. 3, 2, 1. Quantum jump initiated. The U.S. horizon began to shimmer, its molecular structure preparing to challenge the very fabric of known spatial understanding. Humanity held its collective breath, waiting to see if this moment would redefine their place in the universe. The quantum jump felt like nothing the crew had ever experienced. One moment, they were within familiar space, and the next, they existed in a realm that defied all previous scientific understanding. The U.S. horizon's sensors went wild, displaying patterns and energy signatures that seemed to dance and shift with impossible complexity. Captain J. Park blinked, trying to process the visual chaos surrounding their ship. The external view screens showed a landscape of space that looked nothing like any astronomical map or simulation. Geometric structures floated in the distance, not natural celestial bodies, but something that suggested deliberate construction. "Status report," Park commanded, his voice cutting through the initial shock. Dr. Hannah Kim's hands moved rapidly across her holographic displays. "Quantum readings are unusual. These energy patterns don't match any known physical laws." Her scientific mind raced with excitement and a hint of fear. Woon Lee, the first officer, focused on the navigation systems. "Our position is completely uncharted. These spatial coordinates don't exist in any of our galactic maps." The implications were staggering. They had truly gone somewhere no human had ever been before. The ship's external sensors began picking up complex signals. They weren't random electromagnetic waves, but structured communication attempts that suggested an advanced intelligence. Something was watching them, analyzing them with a precision that made the crew feel simultaneously small and significant. A massive structure slowly came into view. It wasn't a planet or a star, but a construct that seemed to blend technology and something more organic. Massive geometric shapes twisted and connected in ways that seemed to defy three-dimensional understanding. Parts of the structure appeared to breathe and pulse, as if it were alive. "Are you seeing this?" Dr. Kim whispered, her scientific composure momentarily broken by pure wonder. The medical officer, Dr. C.O. Park, monitored the crew's physiological responses. Stress levels were high, but manageable. The human body and mind were adapting to this completely unknown environment with remarkable resilience. Suddenly, the ship's communication systems crackled to life. It wasn't sound in the traditional sense, but a complex series of quantum pulses that seemed to bypass normal audio transmission. The crew felt more than heard the message, a combination of mathematical patterns and emotional undertones that suggested communication far beyond human language. "It's trying to communicate," Woon Lee announced, his fingers dancing across translation algorithms. "But this is unlike anything in our communication databases." Captain Park studied the external view. The massive structure seemed to be responding to their presence. Parts of it shifted and moved, creating intricate patterns that looked like a complex dance of technology and something almost sentient. Dr. Kim's scientific curiosity overcame her initial fear. "These energy signatures suggest a civilization that has mastered quantum communication at a level we can barely comprehend," she explained. "They're not just sending messages, they're creating a form of communication that is a living, adaptive process." The crew watched in silent amazement as the alien structure began to change. Smaller geometric shapes detached from the main body, moving with a purpose that suggested intelligent design. They approached the horizon, not in a threatening manner, but with a sense of curiosity that mirrored the human crew's own exploration instinct. Woon Lee's translation attempts started to yield partial results. Fragments of understanding began to emerge, concepts of exploration, knowledge exchange, and something that felt like a challenge or a test. "They're measuring us," Captain Park realized, "trying to understand our capabilities, our intentions." The medical systems detected strange quantum interactions happening around the ship. It wasn't harmful radiation, but a complex series of energy exchanges that seemed to be scanning and analyzing the horizon at a molecular level. Dr. C.O. Park monitored the crew's biological responses. "Physiologically, we're stable," she reported, "but something is happening at a quantum level that our current medical understanding can't fully explain." Hours passed, though time itself seemed different in this strange realm. The alien structure continued its complex dance around the horizon, sending wave after wave of intricate communication attempts. Captain Park knew they were at a critical moment in human history. This wasn't just a scientific expedition anymore. This was first contact with a civilization so advanced that their very method of communication challenged human understanding of intelligence and existence. "We're not going home the same people we were when we left," Dr. Kim said softly, her eyes reflecting the complex geometric patterns outside. The horizon hung suspended in this impossible space, a tiny human beacon of exploration surrounded by a communication attempt that was both a welcome and a challenge from an intelligence beyond human comprehension. The alien communication intensified, becoming more complex and challenging. What started as a curious exchange now felt like a deliberate test of human capabilities. The geometric structures surrounding the U.S. horizon began to pulse with increasing intensity, sending quantum signals that pushed the limits of the ship's advanced systems. Captain J. Park watched carefully as Dr. Hannah Kim worked to decode the increasingly aggressive communication attempts. Her fingers moved across quantum translation interfaces, trying to understand the underlying message. "They're not just communicating," she muttered. "They're evaluating us." Wong Li monitored the ship's defensive systems. The alien structures were creating interference patterns that seemed designed to probe the horizon's technological limits. Each quantum pulse was like a sophisticated challenge, testing the boundaries of human engineering and adaptability. "They want to know what we're made of," Park observed, his voice calm but alert. The crew understood this was more than a simple first contact scenario. This was a complex assessment of humanity's potential. The ship's quantum drive began to respond in unexpected ways. Instead of being overwhelmed by the alien signals, it started to adapt. Dr. Kim watched in amazement as the ship's systems began to mirror, and then subtly modify the incoming quantum communications. "We're not just receiving," she explained to the captain. "We're actively engaging in a form of technological dialogue." The alien structures seemed to pause, as if surprised by the human ship's unexpected responsiveness. Smaller geometric probes began to circle the horizon. They moved with a precision that suggested more than simple mechanical movement. Each probe appeared to be collecting data, testing the ship's capabilities from multiple angles. Wong Li tracked the probe's movements. "They're creating a complete technological profile of our ship," he reported. "Every system is being analyzed, from our quantum drive to our life support mechanisms." The medical officer, Dr. C.O. Park, monitored the crew's physiological responses. The quantum interactions were creating strange biological resonances. Some crew members reported heightened sensory awareness, while others experienced brief moments of what seemed like expanded consciousness. Captain Park understood the delicate nature of the moment. One wrong move could transform this complex assessment into a potential conflict. Human history was filled with misunderstandings between different cultures, and this was a confrontation between potentially incompatible forms of intelligence. Dr. Kim's translation efforts began to yield more coherent results. The alien communication wasn't just a test, it was a challenge. They were measuring humanity's technological and adaptive capabilities, determining whether humans were worthy of further interaction. "It's like an entrance exam," she explained, "but for an interstellar civilization, we can barely comprehend." The quantum pulses carried undertones of respect mixed with a clinical assessment of human potential. The horizon's quantum drive began to do something unexpected. Instead of simply responding to the alien signals, It started to generate its own complex communication patterns. Dr. Kim realized the ship's adaptive systems were learning and responding at a level beyond their original programming. Won Lee tracked the changing dynamics. "We're not just defending," he said. "We're demonstrating our own technological sophistication." The alien probes seemed to pause, recalibrating their assessment of the human vessel. Captain Park watched the complex dance of technology and communication. This was humanity's moment to prove its worth on an interstellar stage. Every system, every crew member represented human potential in its most refined form. The ship's interior began to resonate with the quantum interactions. Subtle changes in lighting and environmental systems suggested the Horizon was becoming more than just a vessel. It was transforming into a living communication node. Dr. C.O. Park noticed something extraordinary happening to the crew. Their collective brain activity showed synchronized patterns that suggested a form of unified response to the alien challenge. Individual minds were working together with unprecedented coordination. Hours passed, though time seemed fluid in this strange quantum realm. The confrontation continued, a complex dialogue of technology, intelligence, and potential. The alien structures maintained their intricate dance around the horizon, each movement a sophisticated question about humanity's capabilities. "We're holding our ground," Captain Park said quietly, a hint of pride in his voice. The crew had become more than individual scientists and explorers. They were representatives of human adaptability and potential. The quantum pulses reached a crescendo. For a moment, it seemed like the confrontation might escalate into something more dangerous. But then, slowly, the alien structures began to shift. Their movements suggested a growing respect, a recognition of human technological sophistication. Dr. Kim looked at the captain, her eyes reflecting the complex quantum patterns outside. "We're being evaluated," she said, "and I think we're passing the test." The U.S. Horizon hung in the impossible space, a small but defiant beacon of human potential, challenging an intelligence beyond human comprehension, and refusing to be found wanting. The breakthrough came unexpectedly, like a sudden burst of light in the complex quantum darkness. Dr. Hannah Kim's hands froze over her console, her eyes widening with sudden understanding. The alien communication was not just a test, it was a complex puzzle waiting to be solved. "Captain," she called out, her voice trembling with excitement, "I think I've found their fundamental weakness." Captain J. Park moved closer, watching as complex quantum patterns began to align in ways no human had ever seen before. The ship's advanced systems were doing something extraordinary. They were not just receiving information, but actively decoding the alien civilization's most fundamental communication structure. Won Lee tracked the changing quantum signatures. The alien probes that had been circling the horizon began to slow, almost as if they sensed something was changing. Each quantum pulse now carried a different meaning, no longer a test, but a potential vulnerability. The revelation was stunning in its simplicity. The alien civilization's advanced technology relied on a precise quantum synchronization that was beautiful but fundamentally rigid. Human technology, by contrast, was adaptable, capable of breaking patterns and creating unexpected solutions. "They're perfect," Dr. Kim explained, "but we're creative." The ship's quantum drive began to generate a series of communication pulses that didn't follow any expected pattern. It was like introducing chaos into a perfectly ordered system. The alien structures seemed to pause, their complex geometric shapes momentarily destabilizing. Dr. C.O. Park monitored the crew's physiological responses. Something extraordinary was happening. Their collective brain activity was synchronizing in ways that suggested a form of unified problem-solving never before observed. "We're not just responding," Captain Park realized. "We're challenging their entire method of understanding." The alien probes began to react differently. What had been a clinical assessment was now becoming something more, a genuine interaction. The quantum pulses carried undertones of confusion, then something that felt remarkably like respect. Won Lee's translation systems started picking up more coherent communication fragments. The aliens were not just measuring human capabilities, they were beginning to understand them. Humanity's ability to adapt, to break patterns, to think beyond rigid systems was becoming clear. The Horizon systems were doing something unprecedented. Each quantum interaction was being analyzed, modified, and then returned with a subtle twist that challenged the alien communications' fundamental structure. As the quantum interactions reached their peak, the U.S. Horizon began its transformation from a simple exploration vessel to something much more significant. The alien structures around them started to shift, their complex geometric patterns revealing subtle changes that suggested a fundamental understanding had been reached. Captain J. Park stood on the bridge, watching the incredible scene unfold. What had begun as a mission of exploration had become humanity's first true interstellar diplomatic breakthrough. Dr. Hannah Kim worked frantically at her console, decoding the final communication fragments. "They're offering something," she said quietly. "Not just information, but a potential pathway of communication." The ship's quantum drive hummed with a new energy. The adaptive systems that had been developed for this mission had proven themselves beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Humanity had not just survived an encounter with an unknown civilization. They had proven their unique potential. Won Lee tracked the changing spatial coordinates. They were no longer in the same quantum realm they had entered. The barriers between known space and this unknown region were becoming fluid, transforming with each quantum pulse. "We're creating a new understanding," Dr. C.O. Park observed, monitoring the crew's physiological responses. Their collective brain activity showed patterns of unprecedented coordination and adaptive thinking. The alien structures began to generate complex communication networks. It wasn't an invasion or a threat, but an invitation. Humanity had proven itself not through military might or technological superiority, but through its unique ability to adapt, to think creatively, to challenge existing systems. Small geometric probes began to align themselves around the horizon, not as threats, but as potential communication nodes. Each pulse carried layers of information that suggested a willingness to exchange knowledge. Captain Park understood the magnitude of the moment. This was more than a scientific mission. This was humanity's first true step into a larger, more complex universal community. Dr. Kim's translation systems worked overtime. The communication was no longer just about testing human capabilities. It was an invitation to understand, to learn, to grow beyond current limitations. "We're being welcomed," she said, her voice a mixture of scientific precision and human wonder. The Horizon systems continued to adapt. What had started as a defensive mechanism was now becoming a bridge of understanding. Each quantum pulse carried the potential for future interactions, for expanding human knowledge beyond current comprehension. Won Lee tracked the changing spatial dynamics. They were preparing to return, but they would not be the same crew that had left Earth. They had become something more, representatives of humanity's potential for exploration and understanding. The alien structures began to create a quantum pathway. It wasn't a traditional return route, but a carefully constructed communication channel that would allow future interactions. Humanity had proven itself worthy of continued dialogue. Dr. C.O. Park noted the crew's emotional states. Beyond the scientific excitement, there was a sense of profound achievement. They had not just explored space, they had expanded the very concept of human potential. As the Horizon prepared for its return journey, Captain Park looked at his crew. They were no longer just scientists and explorers. They were ambassadors of human creativity, adaptability, and potential. The quantum drive began its final sequence. The alien structures created a supportive quantum field, helping to guide the ship back to familiar space. It was a gesture of respect, of potential future cooperation. Dr. Kim's final translations revealed something extraordinary. The encounter was not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity had been invited to a larger conversation, a potential network of interstellar communication and understanding. Won Lee prepared the navigation systems. They would return with data that would change human understanding of space, communication, and potential. This was more than a scientific mission. This was a turning point for human exploration. The horizon began to shimmer, its quantum drive preparing to break through known spatial boundaries. The alien structures created a gentle quantum current, helping to guide the ship home. Captain Park looked at his crew. They had done something unprecedented. They had not just explored space, they had expanded humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. As the ship prepared for its final quantum jump, a sense of hope and possibility filled the bridge. They were returning home, but they were bringing with them the promise of something much larger. A future of exploration, understanding, and potential. The U.S. horizon began to fade, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of an entire species, ready to share its remarkable journey with the world that had sent them into the unknown.